Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of Frail Conversations. And today, as you've seen from the title, we're going to be talking about competitive nurture. If you remember from it's going to kind of merge the last week's episode. Well, not the last week's episode, the last episode on racism and, oppression and all that shit and the systems of it. And then we're going to leverage another episode that I did where I spoke on, nurture versus nature. And we're going to speak on that here. So when it comes to us as men, we are in a space where the world is right now built off of competition, right? It's in a competitive perspective as opposed to the collaborative perspective, right? So we understand from the system of racism or whatever the case may be, like we know that racism is, the is a competition between the genetics, right? Now, when we look at what that means as the competition for us as men, right? This is, how you get misogyny and shit too. But when you start to get the competitive nurture, like you have to be nurtured in a competition as a human, right? Competition, survival, all of that stuff, that's animalistic behavior. We're not animals. Regardless of how scientists keep trying to tell you that you come from the animal kingdom, we don't. I don't like what they study is that we come from the animal kingdom, right? But what history, the ancestors, what they studied was that there was the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and then the human kingdom. Like there's a different kingdom, right? So much so that that's what the drum was actually created for. The drum is the union of all worlds. Like I didn't know that until I started studying, right? So the drum creates the union between all worlds because you use the animal hide to make the casing of the drum, right? You use tree bark to hollow out and make you use that to make the casing of the drum, and then you use the cow hide, animal hide, or whatever the case may be to make the beat, the part where you beat on the drum. I don't know what that's called, but right. And then the human is the one who beats on it. So that's why the drum was so important, because the drum literally unified all kingdoms, all living kingdoms on the world, on the earth, except of course the water kingdom. But that's a different conversation because we did flow. When you are making music, it is flow in there. So it has its inception, but that is powerful because they even took the drum away from us. Oh, they took the drum just because, we were making beats and the drums, there's magic in the drum for a reason. They took the drum away from us based off of how we created, because the drum is deeper than just the beat and keeping the rhythm and, the kick and everything like that. The drum is actually the union of worlds, right? And I'm saying that because we're not animals. But when you are programmed to believe that you are part of the animal kingdom, you then begin to nurture yourself in the way animals do, which is competitive. Animals thrive in a competitive nature, except in the ocean. In the ocean, they're more collaborative within their niche worlds. But for the most part, animals are, competitive. They're competitors. So when we look at the system that's in place right now, we know that the system is the competition between genetics. We got that now. We can keep going further now. So what does that mean for us as men? That means that we now have to be molded into a competitive person, right? When your genetics are dominant, you have no desire to compete. Like, not to be any funny shit, like you come out winning, you already won. If the competition is between genetics, when you have dominant genetics, you already won. So what does that mean then for us? We know that there's handicaps. We know all of that other shit. But now we got to get into us as men, like how we're nurtured in a competition. What does that mean to be nurtured in a competition? You feel me? And what competitions do we play? What does it all entail? Because if we were really collaborative, if we were collaborative and we actually tapped into our true masculine essence, we would have fixed the world a long time ago. But because we're competitive, we can't use it correctly because somebody has to, because again, it's standardized based off of recessive genetics. So we have to maneuver through that lens. But before we dive into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description. Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And yeah, That's all we got for that. That's that for this, and that's this for that. Y'all know the vibes. So we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna dive into So Frail conversations, competitive nurture. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Scene about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. Baby, I like you raw. Oh, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And without further ado, let's dive heavy into this motherfucker. So when we look at the competitive nature, right? Right. First off, it's not even, we don't even like, we've been taught since we were kids, oh, you got that competitive nature. Like, there's no competitive nature, there's a competitive nurture. Naturally, by design, humans aren't competitive, they're collaborative. Like, we were literally put here to work together to make the world function correctly, right? Somehow we not working together, we working against each other because we're in a competitive world. And we're in a competitive world in which the standard is recessive genetics. Okay. So now when we know that these systems are in, there's systems in place to handicap us in order to make us equal with recessive genetics. Now, what does that mean when it comes to competitive world? Right. That means that somebody's creating a world in which we have to compete against like, imagine that, bro. Imagine that. It's dominant genetics. You have to compete against recessive genetics, and the playing field is equal because of what has to happen against you to make sure you can't compete well. Right. So the nurture starts there. And for us as Black men, our nurture is a little bit different when you really think about it, because again, tied it into, you have to work twice as hard to have half as much against recessive genetics. Wow. That's crazy. Really, let's unpack that a little bit. Like, we got to work twice as hard to get half as much as the recessive genetics. Wow. Even if we look at genetics from the standpoint of Mendelian genetics or whatever, right? If you look at what a recessive stock is, it is literally 25%. There's 25% of the genetics, right? Dominance is 25% of genetics too. And then heterozygous is 50%. But you have heterozygous dominant, heterozygous recessive. So it's all, in essence, they all have their own pocket of 25. But the dominant gene is going to reign 75% of the time. And the recessive gene is only going to be 25% of the time, right? So look at these numbers. The system has been designed and orchestrated. The competition is so orchestrated that as Black men, we have to work twice as hard to get half as much from people who are a quarter of what we are. This is not a shit or a slight on those people, you feel me, as humans, but genetics are genetics and you can't refute it. It is what it is. Now, let's look at all of these numbers, right? We're going to show how many more times. We're going to show I'm going to show how fucked up this competition is, because as Black men, we got to work twice as hard to get half as much. That means that we're already putting in 4 times the amount of work against the recessive, and the recessive genetics is the standard. So that's a fourth of that, right? So now that is 60. We have to do 16 times the work to be equal. I had to do that dramatic pause because the numbers do not lie. And when you put things into perspective with numbers, since y'all like statistics and numbers and shit, it looks significantly greater. It looks significantly different, right? Just from a genetic standpoint alone, we go into the situation 16 times. We're going into the situation already working 16 times harder than the standard of the competition. They have to. Now we gotta Go back and think about what I was talking about. Like, they literally have to put systems in place to guarantee that our genetics, and to guarantee that this competition doesn't, we don't have a 60, we have a 16, we are 16 times more likely to succeed genetically than they are in their competition. Wow. When you think about the systems of that, like, we got to work twice as hard to have half as much against the recessive stock of genetics that are a quarter of what dominant genetics are. Okay. 2 times 4 is 16. The systems in place are structured so well that they have to divide us by 16 to make us equal in competition. Wow. Again, like I say, when you really know your enemy, you learn how to love yourself more. I say it all the time, and people like, yo, love you, learn. You got to understand why your enemy hates you, and you know why you need to love yourself. There's a system in place to give them a 16 times advantage over us in the competition. A 16x advantage in the competition. And we don't think that is evident in the world. Like, when they look at the median gaps and they say, oh, black wealth is here, white wealth is here, and all of this shit, do your numbers and you'll see some amazing shit. But you'll start to get to the point where you realize that the system, as far as the competition, is designed for us to really for us to have to work 16 times, or put in 16 times the effort of what we naturally would if we kept everything the same. If we kept everything according to how nature was created and designed, we have to put in 16 times more work to be equal to recessive genetics. So when I say we're nurtured into the competition, we're nurtured into the competition because we don't have to compete. We never had to compete, right? But when you're in a space where you believe you come from animals and you believe you're an animal, you have to realize that survival of the fittest. So now you treat the human experience like an animal experience. You feel what I'm saying? This is why men are so pressed on being alphas. I'm not an alpha male. I'm not. I don't like, I get it. I know I've been labeled that by women. Oh, you're an alpha. No, I'm not an alpha. I'm not an alpha. I'm not a beta. I'm not an animal, my nigga. Those are denotions. Those are tiers that you denote for animals, because the alpha is just the apex predator. And this is where we get fucked up, because now this is what happens to us as men. This is nurturing. When you get taught to be the alpha, now the primal motherfucker, now you have to realize, see, a lot of people, especially the feminist movement, they be asking, like, why do men feel entitled? You told us to be alphas. You told us to be animalistic. You told us to be the animal, right? And then be the greatest of the animals. That's the apex predator. You feel me? So I'm entitled to the best women. I'm entitled to this. I'm entitled to that. I'm entitled to that. You get that entitlement from what your expectation is said to be. And a lot of people don't want to admit to that. Don't want to look at it from the perspective of what it is, but that's what it is. You feel me? That's exactly what it is. We are lost in a world that thinks that they're animals when they're fucking humans. So everything is this, oh, we're the animal king. Look, case in point, when it comes to the plant-based shit, like, motherfuckers will say, oh, well, we supposed to eat animals. Animals are supposed to eat animals. You feel what I'm saying? The nurturing is there. Like, humans ain't supposed to, like, our bodies aren't even, you feel me? But that's a whole different conversation. That's a whole different reality. Because even that plays into the fact that, yo, we're going to make sure that the playing field is 100% even. Dominant genetics is like 93 gas. You can't run off an animal. That's like 83 or 87, whatever the gas is, the lowest one. You feel me? That's what that is for us. We're high luxury vehicles, and we're not putting luxury gas in our vehicles. Why? Because the system designs us to actually make the playing field level. Oh, you a Rolls Royce and I'm a Toyota, but I'm going to make sure that you are on par with the Toyota that I am. And I'm not, because I can't be the Rolls Royce that you are. So I'm going to make you a beat up Rolls Royce. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? This is how the competition works. And then I'm going to undermine what you are until it's time to showcase itself. You see what I'm saying? But in the competition in the competitive nurture that is developing us as who we are, when we come into the spaces, man, like I say, we're coming into the space to be alpha men. Like I don't, I don't. I know in So Frail when I broke down the tiers of alpha, but I don't identify as none of those. I don't identify as alpha. Fuck. I am a deified human. For a lot of people, that makes that gets uncomfortable because you're in a competitive world. Yes, when you're in a competitive world, right, your goal is to be the best. When you're in a collaborative world, your goal is to be better. Being the best has a limitation because your only desire is to elevate to the top, right? And I get it. Well, if I'm at the top, that yes, the best does not always equal better. This is no shade, and because I only said it in the last episode, but this is no shade to the little people. But I'm saying it's like being the tallest midget. You feel what I'm saying? Being the best is like being the tallest midget. You feel me? I get it. We look at the Jordans, we look at the Kobe's, we look at all these people and say these people are the best. But what would have happened if they didn't try? The reason why Jordan is the best because he never tried to be the best. He tried to be better. People miss that. When you're the best, that's it. You have a goal. There's a limitation to where you're gonna go, and once you get to that point, that's it. You don't have to push beyond that. When you're striving to be better, you passed the best a long time ago and keep going. Y'all know how I fuss with the Dragon Ball Z world, and that's the difference between Goku and Vegeta. Goku collaborates, Vegeta competes, right? So now when we look at where we are in the world today as far as how the world goes, you feel me? What is the standard for man right now? The high value man. You're the apex. That's it. That's what it is to be the alpha. You're the top competitor, right? Here's why it becomes problematic because everybody ain't the top competitor. You feel what I'm saying? Women literally want the top 1% and everybody wants to strive to be in the top 1%. And it's like you're trying to funnel yourself into a system that you may not even need to be a part of. You see what I'm saying? Because now tying it into the apex shit, everybody want to be the alpha, but everybody only want to be two types of alphas, really. Well, three, right? When you look at the alphas that they want to be, either you're built like a gorilla, not like physically, but I'm saying like the symbolisms they use are either a gorilla or a lion or a wolf. The human is never used. Why is the human never predicated or used as the apex? Why? Because you have to put genetics in there at that point. Because now when you put genetics in there as what the alpha is supposed to be, now you have to go to dominant genetics. The alphas of the animal kingdom, they are the ones who are the most fit. They are the ones whose genetics are the most dominant. But because when we look at animals, the animals don't have the variations that humans have. Largely. You feel what I'm saying? Like when we look at like the lions, a lion is gonna have a mane. Nigga. And he's gonna be brown or black. Like there's certain like every lion is gonna come out a certain way. Like, but with a human it's different because genetics are different. You feel what I'm saying? Now, when we look at lions, but when we extend the lions and look at the cat kingdom, and we got the cheetahs, we got tigers, we got lions, we got like tigers, I think could fuck up a lion. You feel me? But we don't look at the tiger as the apex. We look at the lion as the representation of it. You feel me? Just like gorillas. You feel me? Chimpanzees, they say chimpanzees are the most dangerous primate out there. But we look at gorillas as the alpha. You feel what I'm saying? So it's a different world because I think we're looking at it more from a physical perspective of power because we tie our competitive nature with how powerful we are, not how strong we are, but how powerful we are. Right. So again, like I said, our representation of what an alpha is, we use lions, gorillas, bears, and wolves and shit. Right. This is the alpha. Right. Why don't we ever use a human? Because then race does come, then color really does matter. And all that, oh, I don't see color. No. It really starts to matter because then you start to see, wow, the apex, which is the survival of the fittest, the most fit person is the one with the most dominant genetics. This is what Darwin was talking about. This is what Margaret Sanger created the Planned Parenthood for. They'd seen like, think about this shit. Like, even with Planned Parenthood, that shit expounded to like, we have abortion clinics, we have all of that shit, like, because it's like, we have to kill off the dominant genetics. So while y'all out here arguing about, oh, I'm an alpha, you're not. You're not. You're not. And this is why in So Frail 1, if you read it, I said this is why I feel like all black men are alphas, because if you look I'm basing it off the world we live in right now, not a utopia that I want to have. No, I'm telling you what's going on right now, right? So when I say all black men are alphas, they are. And this is the context in which I meant that. Because now we have to look at it from the standard of genetics. You feel me? So when you are the apex, when you had like, think about like a lion. I'm gonna use Lion King for an example since we were talking about alphas. When Mufasa roared, motherfuckers didn't do shit. Case and when they was in when hyenas had cornered Simba, he was like rah, 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 and it was like that's it, do it again. Didn't even put fear in him in any way, shape, or form. Mufasa roared once. Hit different, right? The reason why I'm saying that is because when he roared, he didn't have to do shit. It was like that's what it is. He just had to show up. That's what it is to be an alpha, right? When we tie that and we link that to genetics, you see what I'm saying? I don't play ball, not organized anyway. I can shoot, I'll dribble a little bit, but as far as giving you those 48 minutes and shit running back and forth, like, no, you're not getting that out of me. But I'm tall. I've heard all my life, you tall for nothing. No, bitch, I'm tall because my genetics are good. But I can play basketball if I wanted to. I didn't choose to. You feel what I'm saying? But the assumption was, oh, you tall, you this, you can dunk. I haven't even tried to lift the weight. I haven't even done the mechanical shit to be able to dunk. You feel me? So don't expect that out of me. You feel me? Oh, you should be faster than that. Why? I don't run. I don't play sports. Like, you feel me? Like, why would I do that? This is me speaking like when I was a kid and shit. Like, why? Why would that even be the case? Because your genetics are dominant. They tell us every day, like, nigga, you supposed to be the top. You supposed to be the top. But now we're going to leverage that. You're not going to own shit. We're going to make sure that you can't win in the competition. We're going to rig the competition for you not to win. You can play your motherfucking ass off, and we're going to milk you for the plays that you make. Give you the illusion that you're competing in the game. Like, I always say it when I talk about the ABA, when I talk about the Negro Leagues and all of that shit. Like, we were better than them. They knew we were better than them, but they knew that they can disband us by putting one of us in position. Like, you feel what I'm saying? And then what did they do? They ended up co-opting everything. They disbanded the ABA, disbanded the Negro League. They disbanded everything that we had for the sake of one person playing amongst them to completely be greater than them. But they can own the for them, competition is about ownership. You feel me? That's why ownership is important in this world, and you got to realize that. Y'all talk that bullshit. Oh, we can't take it with us. I can't take it with me. No. But as a man, you need to start valuing ownership, because if you're not, you will be owned, and your bloodline will be owned. Because the competition leads to ownership. Either you're going to be an owner or you're going to be the owned. Slavery never stopped in this motherfucker. You feel what I'm saying? It never stopped in this motherfucker. And the fact that nobody can see it is what makes it worse, because now we willingly put ourselves in competition. Hey, I want to compete in this. Like, I don't compete against these motherfuckers no more. There's no competition. You feel me? And when you get to a point of understanding the essence of who you are, and then you understand how to play, like, I beat the whole game, bro. I beat the whole game. And here's why I'm saying that. Here's why I'm saying that competition is, if we're looking at the sole reality of, let's say, a degree, a college degree, or whatever the case may be, and all that shit, I did that, world's over. So much so that I graduated. I missed graduating magna cum laude by 0.04 points. And I think, me personally, I'm going to say it like this, that I think that happened. I missed it because I got a B my freshman year, because I forgot to do an assignment that I didn't think could hurt me. You feel me? And yeah, granted, at the end of the semesters, I probably could have got, but I'm saying it's starting off one way and ending another is a totally different thing, because in ending that way, what happened was, like, my senior year, I was dealing with a heartbreak. I was dealing with a whole bunch of other shit. So I missed magna cum by 0.04, 0.06 points or something. No, 0.04, because it was 3.46. So I missed it by 0.04 points, right? Would have had a 3.5, right? And I didn't try. I literally did not study until my senior year. Now, I know thinks I'm bragging. No. I'm not bragging. I'm painting the scene for how the competitive side works, right? And in competing with that, it's like my cohorts and my counter, like, they were a lot more stressed than me. They were a lot more pressed than me. And it's like they were actually trying, and I still beat them. Right? Because that's what this world is. It's about competition. Like, I get it. People can talk about, like, yo, you're not, no, I beat you. I beat you. You cannot tell me that this world is a competitive world. You cannot show me day in and day out. Doesn't get mad when I do some competitive shit. And I tell you that I beat you in a competition. The fuck? Like, they talk about and this is what's so dangerous now. And this is why men need to really step up a lot more, because we're in a space where they're constantly, you're in a competitive world that they teach you that everybody's a winner. You know, this is how you end up with cancel culture. This is how you end up with entitled motherfuckers. This is how you end up with motherfuckers that are unlearned, that open their mouth with shit that they don't know nothing about. I just got into it on social media. It was on an actual public page, like a bigger person's page or whatever the case may be, right? And I showed, look, there's difference. Like, you can't compete with me, right? I'm so well versed within myself that the competition doesn't even matter, because I'm collaborating. Now you can collaborate, you feel me? And now when we collaborate, I'm gonna talk to you like you a peer, and it's gonna look like I'm competing. I'm beating your ass, but I'm not. I'm really trying to teach you, and you feel me? Show you what I know you don't know about. So the post was talking about BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, right? And how they supposed to be coming together to back by gold. So they was like, what y'all think on this? So my comment, you feel me, was, ain't nothing gonna happen to the US dollar. It's backed by the mental health of the people, right? Y'all know why I say that. I've even done a podcast episode to tell you why I'm talking about that. But again, the people didn't see it now. I'm a black man. Again, these are the things that I have to deal with on a regular basis. So as a black man, it's like, off rip, most of the people that responded to me were like me. Oh, that's rubbish. That's stupid. That's this, that, and the third. Not a single motherfucker decided to ask, what are you talking about? Right? So a couple trolls came in and they like, yo, that's still all right, whatever. I get you don't understand what you're saying. I said, and this is when I realized I had a deeper, like, when you're really rooted and grounded, you don't lose composure. So a lot of people, I'm going back and forth literally, and they're like, why are you going back and forth? Why don't y'all go back and forth? I literally stand on what it is that I'm talking about. And I don't get how much people, just because you cannot fathom what it is that I'm saying, it does not diminish the validity of what I'm talking about. You dig what I'm saying? You being unable to fathom what I'm talking about does not diminish the validity of what I'm talking about. You see what I mean? So I'm telling everybody, this is so everybody's like, so now this is what's pissing me off, because I'm like, so my full comment was something like, the US dollar is backed by the mental, physical, and spiritual health of the people, right? I said no gold will, I said as valuable as gold is, it will never surpass the commodity that is the human, right? So that's what I said. So I already told you that it's backed by that. And then I said, no commodity will value like the human. Everybody heard, oh, it's backed by humans. What? No, nigga, that's not what I said. How is it backed by the health? And the United States has the worst health ever. If they got poor obesity, everything, nigga, that's the point. You're giving the backside to why I said what I said. Y'all are sitting there telling me no, and then telling me why I said what I said. And because y'all don't know why I said what I said. Because in a competitive world, the mentality is, I do not know what I'm talking about. Goes back into, I have to work twice as hard to get half as much for a quarter of the genetics, which is a 16 times chance. And you see that every day as a black man. When you are trying to express yourself, you have to literally give whole dissertations just to present information. Whole dissertations are just to present any bit of information. And then people will still look at you like you don't know what you're talking about. So again, I'm using this opportunity though as a leveraging point. So the guy is literally going back and forth with me to the point where it's like, yeah, I checked out your page and all this shit. I said, good, because now you're gonna be in my audience pool. And guess what you're gonna see? You're gonna see an ad for Mastering the Market and Inflate with Inflation, the course that I created in the community that I have around understanding and trading currencies. Which means we have to know. I don't teach the EWE this. I don't teach the EWE a lot of the backside of the shit. Cause it's like, yo, fuck it. Skip that shit. You don't need to know that. You don't need to know the shit that I had to learn to make this shit easy for you. You see what I'm saying? So I break down the charts and shit. So it's like when I tell motherfuckers like your US dollar is back, I'm not just pulling this shit out of my ass. I've been doing this shit for 5 years. And when I know that this shit's backed by the human psychology, and I seen that, wow, these niggas. And when I start looking at the sectors, when I start looking at the indices, when I start looking at how much the health is, so you're gonna pay for your health, good or bad. So again, when the motherfuckers were saying, yo, America has the worst health ever, the obesity, like they're not backed by nothing back. You can't, then somebody, you stupid. They literally said that you stupid. It's backed by the military. You can't back a currency by what you're budgeting for. So now I'm looking like the bad guy because I'm saying things like this. No, see, y'all thought this was a competitive world. There was never the competition. I was trying to collaborate with y'all by telling y'all something that y'all had never heard before. And then I would have gave you the information. Then the troll comes out and says, yo, if you would have just said that, he said, you could have been given information, but you need to practice humility or whatever the case may be. Why do I have to practice humility when I know what the fuck I'm talking about? Think about that. They're telling me that I need to practice humility when I know what I'm talking about. And I'm telling them what I'm talking about, and they don't get what I'm talking. So I'm like, who's really the one who needs to be humble here? Why do I, and again, 16x. I might change the title to 16x, but that 16 times thing that they have to put. So now all of these people are attacking me, all these people going back and forth with me. And I'm like, y'all are, and now it gets to the point where the trolls are like, yo, I looked at your page. Okay, cool. You looked at me being able to do me based off of the shit that I've already accomplished. You're going to see my ads. You're going to see my ads, and I'm going to troll the fuck out of you. Right. So where everybody's like, only one person decided to ask what. So I broke down. Y'all remember the episode on Corny Dudes, Dr. Kellogg and shit and all of that. So I broke down like the how Rockefeller bought the education system. I broke down all of that shit, and niggas was like, quiet. That's when the attack started about my personal. It was like, oh, you might need a psych. Dude told me I got psych issues because he looked at my page or whatever the case may be. He was like, I said, look, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say. You can throw whatever insults you want. It does not change the fact that I stand on what I'm talking about because I know what I'm talking about. And you knew that I was right. And you were trying to be a troll and you thought that it was going to see when you're in that competitive nature, you feel like that if you could just refute somebody enough that they'll disagree. Because when somebody is at the level of belief of the mind, you can change their mind just by saying no, just by saying, no, I don't agree with it and try to make them feel a certain way. You can't shake me off what I understand. This is what I be trying to tell y'all. I know I'm whispering, but this is what I be trying to tell y'all. You can't argue your beliefs with my understanding. It looks stupid to you. And you know that phrase where it says, be careful with arguing with fools because on the outside, they don't know who's who. No. I realize that applies to when two fools are talking, when two people that are on both at the state of belief and they're just at opposing sides. When understanding is speaking to belief, it's clear who's who. It's clear who's who. You see what I'm saying? As everybody that's keep coming at me, they're the ones that are the fools. They're the ones that are just that's cap, that's rubbish, that's this, that, and the third. They saying that shit, but as I'm defending my stance and I'm saying it, you feel me? Like when I said it was wild because I literally said this in one of my comments. I said BRICS is they're fractional allies at best, and I said South Africa be the one that falls. You bringing five currencies together to back it by gold to go against one currency that isn't backed, that has been running the game for 100 years and it ain't been backed by nothing. Nigga, how? All of these other currencies have been backed by something. And the U.S. has still been beating them because what the U.S. is backed by is something that they can't have. They are backed by natural resources. The U.S. dollar is backed by human resources. From the womb to the tomb, nigga, they are going to get paid off you. From the womb to the tomb. So now when I was talking about, the U.S. dollar is backed by the military. No, it's not, because they have a military budget. I can't budget for the shit if I'm back. You feel what I'm saying? That's hustling backwards. But motherfuckers would know that shit if they can step out of that competitive world and collaborate. Because when you in that competitive world, I now have to shut down and assume you don't know what you know. So again, as a black man, when I have to work twice as hard to have half as much for a quarter of the genetics that I'm competing against, that's a 16x level of energy I have to put in everything that I do. I have to literally put 16 times the effort into everything that I do. And I put 16 times the effort into everything that I do. And I'm going to show you all 16 times the effort. You know why? Because I'm going to show you that it's levels of the shit. So while you sitting there arguing, while you sitting there bitching, you could be learning. But again, it's about the competency. See, the competition with the racism, and now we have this competitive nurture. It's like the perception is that black men are incompetent. Men as a whole are incompetent. But then imagine if we're in this racist world, competitive world, what does that say about the black man? And this isn't just me saying it because these motherfuckers wouldn't agree with me. I'm saying what the system is, how the system is built, how it's nurtured. Because now the dominant genetics is the one who can, I use this example and I tell people this all the time. I said, what I done with my mind is just what Jordan and Kobe and LeBron and them did with their body, with their physical body. You feel me? I just did it with my mind. And it's hard because it's hard to appreciate. Y'all can appreciate it, right? But it's hard for people on the outside to look at it because a black man is not supposed to be here mentally, spiritually, only physically. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? What happened with that post and shit? Like, I'm like, y'all, it's like, you know how when Jordan's having a bad night or Kobe was having a bad night, it's just Jordan. And it's like, yo, and somebody says something to you. And then somebody says something, then somehow that fourth quarter they turned up and lit the fuck up. And it's like, wow. When I turn up and I do that, motherfuckers get mad. Why didn't you just start off with that? I didn't have to, because I wasn't directing anything to you. You feel what I'm saying? They're telling me I should have went on ahead and gave my full example as to why I said the spiritual. It don't matter. You didn't get it anyway. What difference did it make? You had never seen the information that I said, but you assumed that I had never. You assumed that I only scratched the surface with the information I was presenting. Why? Because of the stereotypical expression of what you feel. Right. And I'm saying that so much so that the competency of men is always on point. But then what do you think about how they portray the competency of black men? Right. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed this, but as a black man who's very competent, it's easy for me to see this in these situations. The black women that I have involved myself with over the years of my life and shit, they were the ones who, these are the top ones. These are the upper echelonians. And one of the reasons why I'm so good and I have so much information, because I listen to women and everything, whatever the case may be, but because I sit beyond the competition, right? I've always sat beyond the competition. Women would tell me, the things that, necessarily aren't in the competition. So most black women, especially the ones that are educated and sophisticated, they think black men are incompetent on a collective. You feel what I'm saying? They come into the situation trying to treat you like a child. You feel what I'm saying? It's weird. It's weird because it comes back to the competitive side, because we don't understand how deep it is to be lost in the competitive world, because now you have to try to humble something that is exalted. I can't beat you. I've already lost the competition. Now I have to humble you. Like the bull that was trying, oh, you just self-right. No, I'm not. My team fuck with me. He was like, yo, you got 7,000 followers and only 6 real likes. Way to go. I said, that's because I rebranded my page. I said, there was a time when my shit was jumping. I was reaching about 30,000 people a month, 40,000 people a month. Yeah, it got cut down to 5,000, 6,000 when I rebranded. But I'm still reaching this amount of people. So you talking about 7,000 followers and 6 real likes because I rebranded. And the only people that are still fucking with it that are in the algorithm now are the people that was always there. You feel what I'm saying? And my focus is not even likes and shit. It's reach. I don't give a fuck about who likes the shit. I'm worried about who sees it, because once you see my shit, my ass can hit you. Bitch, you worried about the wrong thing. I explained that to him. Again, we're in 2 totally different places. You worried about the competition, so you're trying to show that I could be better than you. No, I've already eclipsed being better than you. That's how I'm showing you how the best version of myself. I'm already show you that I'm better than that. Yeah, I'm better than that. You see what I'm saying? And the sad part about the competitive world is because we created this competitive world until it comes to the mentality. Nobody wants to be mentally bested. Nobody wants to be mentally bested because because that hits you different, because it's like, wow, whole time I'm thinking I'm better than this motherfucker. It's one thing when you look at, if you pull up on Kobe and shit, you know what I'm saying, rest his soul, you pull up on Kobe and you're like, what smoke you gonna get with the one-on-one. No matter how good you can ball, you know how Kobe balls. So you know what I'm saying? But again, when it comes to the mind, you don't know the depths of what it is. So even when I give my basic information, because I be trying to connect the reach to y'all, it's depths to what we do. You feel what I'm saying? And again, it goes back into the fact that because a black man said something, that's what the whole problem was. Most of the people that said I was capping, most people that said were black people, especially black men, but most of them were black people. They were scratching their head, laughing and shit. I'm like, y'all know the joke is really on you, right? I'm sorry. That's what gets me about my people. It's like, y'all got to stop laughing at ignorance. Y'all got to stop laughing when you don't know the information. That's not funny. Because the joke is not on the person you think you laughing at. This nigga think he's smart. These pseudo scholars, y'all gotta stop listening to people on social media. True, I'm all for that. Stop listening to social media people, but you need to listen to motherfuckers with experience. You need to listen to motherfuckers with experience. And this is what I was saying. The competitive world still is only built off the first level of the mind. I've already accessed the fourth level of the mind and I use it well. I speak on shit that I understand. This is why I can go so deep with the shit, but then also why I can make it so simple. By simply saying the United States the dollar is backed by the health, the physical, mental, and spiritual health of the people. They're like, what? Because y'all can't see as big as me. Spiritually, yes, you're only gonna follow one of the three. You're only gonna follow your spiritual practice is going to be tied to four things. One of four things. Either you're going to be a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, or you're going to be atheist in America. You could be Buddhist and shit like that, but they control the paradigm of what? Like, they control your conceptualization of the deity. Now, here's why that's important. If I control your conceptualization of deity, I can control how you compete in the world. If you're creating the image and the likeness of a deity and you know how great your deity really is, you're going to beat my ass. But if I give you the deity that I want you to have, and I tell you that this is, you can't outdo this deity. Wow. It levels the playing field, or attempts to. You feel me? Again, now add that to the shit. I was just talking about the 15, the physical when I was saying we 16 times that whole, with the genetics and shit. But now look at that from the spiritual side. What does that cut us to where it's like, yo, you have to follow one out? Like, we're not practicing Vodun. We're not practicing the Yoruba. You feel me? We're not practicing the Tarianism. We're not practicing none of our African spiritualities, and we still winning the game. They even took masculinity away. Like, we don't analyze and deconstruct shit, and we still winning the game. That's crazy, right? Now, just imagine none of these handicaps are here. Like I said, within a generation, there would be no Caucasian people. Why? Because nature naturally gravitates towards the right thing. You feel what I'm saying? They don't want to admit that the dominant genetics is what survives on this world. So again, they nurture us into a competition that makes us believe that we're winning already. So much so that when we're born, we hold up our necks first. We sit up first. Like these things, like how do we end up in kindergarten together? Because the level is the playing field. I never forget when I was in kindergarten, they wanted to skip me to the second grade. My mama said no. This is not a shot or no disrespect to my mama. She said no because she wanted me to get my developmental milestones, according to my grade levels or whatever the case may be. But I was already beyond that. But again, this is how the system works. You feel what I'm saying? Her understanding of the system, her understanding of the education system and everything like that, the milestones and shit. I get why she wanted to do it. But I was already beyond all that. Right? I was already beyond all that. But what that does is it allows them to just imagine this. Because by sixth grade, I was in honors classes and shit. Well, I was in honors classes up until high school. I just stopped doing them by junior year because I didn't want to, because there was no more people like me. You feel me? There was no more people like me. But honors classes were never hard. But then when we look at what happens, it's like, let's look at the standard, right? Look at all of the things in place that they have to do to make themselves seem greater than they are. It's not a shot to undermine them because it just is what it is. Their genetics are recessive, but to make themselves the standard of beauty. Imagine that shit. Knowing that your genetics are recessive. Knowing that you have to literally create systems to even make yourself a factor in the game. How do you become the standard? Not only that, how do you succumb to the fact that they are the standard? When people be like, yo, what European standard? I don't know why y'all still bitching about European standard of beauty and shit like that. Get out of that world. There is no such thing as a European standard of beauty for me. There is no such thing as a Mongoloid standard of beauty for me because their genetics are not as dominant as mine. Because now we have to get back biblical or religious, however y'all want to look at it. Because if we are creating the image and likeness of a deity and we were the ones given the dominant genetics and they were the ones given the recessive genetics in the world in which the dominant genetics thrives and thrives best in the sun. How did we end up not understanding that? How do we end up convinced that, yo, they're the standard? Y'all can name it however you name it, but whatever created us said that we are the dominant genetics. So we're the dominant genetics, then we're the supreme beings. We are naturally the standard of beauty. You feel what I'm saying? And it's evident. They do all the lip and like it's a lot of shit that's happening that y'all not even paying attention to because you can't. Because the shit's so motherfucking systemized that you don't see it. You feel me? And rather than being able to hear from the motherfucker, now you're gonna attack and say, I can't listen to you because I don't like the message. And the point that I'm making with that is because I made that claim. And you feel me? I guess everybody, what are your credentials? What it is, then third. Hey, just click the link in my bio and see that I do this. I do this. Like I don't just talk about this for no. Like, I do this. You feel me? And that goes into what they're saying. Like the competition is like, yo, when you're like in that competitive state, they're like, yo, that's overkill. You just stand a third. No, I'm not in a competitive nature. I'm done when I'm done. Because this is how we're collaborating on this particular thought. So the person, he ended up blocking me. I told him he was going to block me. I said, look, bro, you're going to end up blocking me because what's going to be worse is like this whole conversation where you're trying to undermine, you're going to see an ad for the very thing that we're talking about right now with my face on it. I hope you block me. He blocked me. But he kept going back and forth like, oh, nah, you're delusional, this, that, and the third, until he seen my motherfucking ad. Next thing I know, I'm blocked. I know, nigga, because you got 5 of them bitches too. Because my shit don't discriminate. If you on my page, it's going to hit you. I don't have it linked to where it's just, okay, show this to the mass of the market people. No, it's going to show towards people who, it's connected towards people who are more market-based, but it's showing it to all my audience. You're going to see all of those. You feel me? Because again, as a collaborator, I'm done when I'm done. As a competitor, I'm done when you can't compete anymore. No, not to play with me. No, not to play with me. Because in the whole time, I'm still branding master in the market. Click the link in my bio. I'm like, yo, y'all want to troll? I'm going to show y'all what it is to troll on social media. Don't play with me. I'm going to show y'all something different. But again, you can't compete with a motherfucker who's not trying to be the best, who just wants to be better. Because I'm in a collaborative state. And then being in collaborative space, I'm always competing, good or bad. You feel what I'm saying? So even when people think, oh, you going back and forth, you stooping to the level. I'm not. That's passive aggression. Something that I've learned about passive aggression is something that I never looked at before. I used to think passive aggression was doing subtle shit, and you know what I'm saying? Nah, it's passive aggression is tied to victim mentality. You feel me? And motherfuckers can't actively be aggressive. They can't be assertive. They can't. So they do the passive aggressive shit. Sarcasm. I'm a very sarcastic motherfucker. You know when I picked up sarcasm? When I couldn't beat motherfuckers up no more. You see what I'm saying? Motherfuckers be, I'm a violent person. I'm disciplined with my violence. So I'm only violent when I need to be violent. But at the same time, it's like when you're in the education system, it's like, yo, be the big, like they'll tell you, they'll let a motherfucker talk shit to you, punch him in the motherfucking mouth. Words shouldn't have got to you. That person, no. That's passive aggression. The words you say make me want to punch you in your fucking mouth. You feel me? But I can't do that. So I develop sarcasm. My sarcastic wit is crazy. But because of when I give you my sarcasm, how it makes you feel on the inside, when I actually start cutting with words, that's how I really wanted to make you feel with my hands, but I couldn't. But now you have to sit with this a lot longer. They say sticks and stones break bones, but words never hurt. My words last forever. You'll remember my words when we talk. I promise you. Because I reached a point now where I don't compete. I collaborate now. We can collaborate for benefit, or we can collaborate for detriment. But nigga, we gonna collaborate because I'm not competing for benefit or detriment, because those two outcomes are gonna be the reality. If we competing, either it's for good or bad. I'd rather collaborate for good or bad, because when we compete now, I gotta stop when I'm fucking you up. No, I'm collaborating because now I'm going to use this opportunity to build something better. But again, because we are guided and nurtured into the competitive nature, that's all we know is how to compete. Hey bro, for real though, at some point we gotta stop talking to women about masculinity and start talking to each other about it. And I mean really talk to each other. Not as enablers and co-signers, but as men trying to reach the pinnacle of our essence. And that's what the So Frail series does. So Frail 1 is the definition. So Frail 2 is the acknowledgement. And So Frail 3 is the resolution. If you rock with the Soul Frail Conversations, I can guarantee you will rock with the Soul Frail series of books. So visit IamJustSaying.com right now so you can add the series to your library. I promise you will never look at masculinity the same again, and you're going to stop wasting your time arguing with women about it. This is a conversation that men need to have between men, and it's time we start having this conversation now. This is why old people lose their zeal. This is why, like, once motherfuckers get their job, they land and secure their job, life's over. You ever notice that shit? Why? Because you don't have to compete anymore. I'm not worried about competition no more. I'm not worried about compete, but that's when the collaboration is really supposed to turn on. But motherfuckers spend the next X amount of years gaining tenure to do nothing. They're no longer collaborating. They're no longer using their creative energy. They're no longer using their zeal for life. And it dies. But they've given everything to a company. They've given everything to a business. They've given everything to a job, and they have nothing to show for it except wrinkles. You feel me? The way this world is working, the way this world is built, you have to understand that it don't work like this anymore. The world never worked like this. This is why black people be wondering why we can't prosper. My black men as well is like my brothers, we be wondering like, yo, why we're not like, you're trying to fit your star piece into a cylindrical slot. We're not like humans. The human experience is not about competition. This is solely about collaboration. You feel me? But again, when you follow religious doctrine that tell you that you have dominion over everything that's not human, right? Think about this. This is why they're trying to put, humans in the animal kingdom. Even the religious text tells you that humans have dominion over the animals. How do we get caught up in the animal kingdom? Animals ain't got dominion over each other, right? But the reason why man, and then you had dominion, domination, and shit like that. Why would we have never dominated animals? We had think about this, right? They had when you look at their training regimens and things like that, they have to break dogs, they break animals to tame them, right? We walked with elephants, we walked with lions and shit, and in their nature, in their habitat, we didn't have to take them out of their element to, you know what I'm saying? Or we didn't have to steal them when they were babies and shit. We can really connect because that lets you know what level we're on. Our genetics are dominant, right? But again, when you walk into a competitive state and where the genetics, where the standard is recessive genetics, nigga, what the fuck you think is supposed to happen? What do you think is really supposed to happen when you are in that space and you are in a position to do that? We don't look at this color. We don't look at competition the way it's supposed to be looked at. We just look at it as winning and not a reality of somebody has to lose, right? Something has to, this is why people, they're like, yo, how can you be good at, when I'm able to walk the line and do, good shit and bad, I'm like, this is the world of competition. All's fair. As they say, all's fair in love and war. Love and war are among the highest forms of competition. They be asking why relationships don't work. Cause nigga, you getting with a fucking competitor. We don't honor relationships in a way in which we're supposed to be collaborating. We compete with each other. Now I get it. Motherfucker, I'm not in a relationship competing with. No, you're not competing against your significant other. Some motherfuckers are competing against them. Oh, you wearing this? I'm wearing that. What? No, you look better than me. No. There's literally motherfuckers competing against their significant other, but then there's people competing with their significant other. And you guys come together to compete against the world. This is why somebody has to lead and somebody, in this competitive world, we create this dominant, submissive reality. I be trying to tell y'all be thinking I be reaching, and you know what I'm saying? Contextually, if I say that women aren't supposed to be submissive, you see what I'm saying? Oh, yes, they are in a competitive world. When the world is nurtured to be competitive. Yes, then women have to be submissive. Women aren't naturally submissive because by default, then that means that men are supposed to be dominant. So now we're in this chaotic space now where women are like, men just don't want to be dominant no more. Men, because not all men are dominant. Not only that, we're not meant to dominate. You see what I'm saying? But because of the nurture, we're taught to be apex predators, alphas. The alpha is the apex predator. So now when you look at who the upper echelon, they're predators. They're the predators and shit, and they are at a space where the predatory behavior is welcomed. All it is like, who's going to welcome the predatory behavior? Because I'm an alpha, I'm an apex predator. That's it. That's it. And when we're in this space now, we're in a space where our women, we're in a dominant, submissive society. So now when I compete, I have to be the most dominating being. They be wondering why masculinity toxic or why it appears toxic. Nigga, the fuck you think is gonna, what do you think is gonna be nurtured out of a competition? And what do you think is gonna be nurtured out of the competitive nature of a winner? You want the man to be a winner. You want to have the winner. You want to have the motherfucker who gets the trophies and the championships. What the fuck you think that's gonna look like? Everybody that talks about Kobe, they talk about his work ethic. Nigga was working out 4 a.m. and 3 and like, perfect example when I was watching the Redeem Team. It literally showed the power of collaborating versus competition, right? Kobe was, he was the competitor for what it is, but he collaborated in order to be better than everybody. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm working like, so it rubbed off. On that Redeem Team, D Wade was in that motherfucker with him. LeBron was in that motherfucker with him. And, Melo, Bosh, and all that. Like, they were like, yo, we got to turn up. We got to get this shit right. And it's evident in the rings. Who said, okay, I'm going to go do this too because I got to step up here. Melo said, I'm not doing all those workouts. All-star, phenomenal player. He's one of the greatest players without a ring. You feel what I'm saying? He's one of the greatest players without a ring. But the point that I was making with that is that when you step into that world of competition, it's like, yo, you got to constantly go for the top, right? So what happens when you become the best? That work ethic, that's toxic. That becomes toxic. You know why? Because now you're in the presence of dominance. Now I cannot be the submissive one. So you have to be the submissive one. And motherfuckers don't want to be submissive, but motherfuckers also don't want to win shit. So now we're getting in relationships where motherfuckers as men, every day we got to go compete and we got to be the best. If we ain't the best, we run the risk of losing our family, losing our women, losing our, like, everything. We have to be the best. You see what I'm saying? And now we're in a space where women are coming to the space demanding the best out of us. You feel what I'm saying? And getting mad when we reach the best of that. You feel me? How? Because the competition is built this way. You can't get mad at how you want to play the game. You feel what I'm saying? So now you get the women, they join the workforce and they got the educations or whatever the case may be. And then it's like, now I compete with you. Now, again, you have the reason why the black relationship is not going to thrive much because of is because we're educated. So now we have to find somebody to compete with. And what are we competing against? Recessive genetics, right? So now it's like, as we're competing with each other against this system, somebody has to lead. Ideally, the man is going to lead, right? Yeah, because now I have to be the dominant force here. That means you play the back. You're the submissive one. But now women don't, I've achieved all of this. I'm not being submissive. I want to have a hot girl summer. I want to be all this because women ain't naturally submissive. Because we're supposed to be collaborating. Now, when we got to compete with each other to go fight a system, you feel me? No, I need somebody who I can collaborate with, who can collaborate against keeping this system from fucking with us, with me. That's what it's like. But again, we're nurtured to be competitive, so we're not going to find that. We're going to go find a woman who can now vindicate us because she's not as good as a competitor as me. That's why she plays this submissive role. I'm the dominant side. You see what I'm saying? And now she can't. Now I'm likely going to cheat. I don't think y'all understand how systemized this shit really is, bro. Like, y'all hear me when I be like, yo, people cheat because they're losing in their relationship. When I said that, a lot of motherfuckers used to come at my throat and, no, people cheat because they fucked up. People cheat. No. We're in a competitive society. We are in a competitive society. People cheat when they lose. We are in a competitive society. Once we have a relationship, one person assumes dominant role, one person assumes submissive role. The person who always cheats is playing the dominant role. Sit with that. If you've ever cheated, if you've ever been cheated on, if you ever cheated, you were playing the dominant role. And you cheated on the submissive person because you were losing. Didn't even realize it. You're losing the competition that you're nurtured into. If you've been the one cheated on, you're complaining, you bitching, oh, she did this and the third, oh, she cheated on me, yeah. You were the submissive one. You played the back. You were the quote unquote good man, the good guy. You were the submissive one and she didn't like it. She was dominant and she cheated because she was losing. But the problem is, two dominant motherfuckers can't be together because it is competition. We don't want to look at it like that. We never want to look at it like that, right? We want to look at it as, oh, that person did me dirty, that person. No, the competition, when you're in a state of competition and you're losing, you're going to cheat to win. When you feel like you're losing, you're going to cheat to win. Or unless you're a poor sportsman, if you're not a poor sportsman, you're going to stick it out. You're going to stick it out and just be a loser. But no dominant person wants to remain with a loser. Chances, and then most times when the motherfucker cheats, they cheat with a person who's maybe still submissive, but they're more dominant than the person. On the paper, like, for example, when I got cheated on, and this is, like, again, when I got cheated on, the person that she cheated on me with was who I was before I went to college, was who I was before I diluted myself, was who I was before I played the backseat so she wouldn't feel threatened in the relationship with me. I was a submissive person. I can admit that. I was a submissive person because I had to be submissive so she wouldn't feel threatened. Oh, why this girl looking at you? Why this girl? Because I naturally have the dominant energy. Niggas know who's what, but she had a dominant energy too. We were literally, we're both Aries. She was a March Aries. I'm an April Aries, but we're both Aries. Fire like a motherfucker. We were literally two dominant motherfuckers that came together. I played the backseat because I was confident in my dominance. She was insecure in who she was. That's why her dominance came out erratic or whatever. But the person that she ended up cheating with was what I was. But see, the thing about what she doesn't understand is that I elevated out of that. And me putting that shit down was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, it is what it is. But then it's like, oh, wow. Taught me a vital lesson of life. You feel me? This is a competitive world, not a collaborative world. I've always been living life like I was collaborative. So I always work with people and I could never understand why people did wrong shit because they're in a competitive world. When you learn how to play that shit, you understand what world you're playing in. You feel me? I don't play in that world no more. So I'm not competing with nobody, but I'm collaborating. It's going to come off because now with competition, I'm trying to crush you ultimately. No. That's competition. Because I'm going to walk away from you after I destroyed you completely. But for me, collaboration is a little bit different. I'm just going to keep destroying you. That was a dramatic pause. That wasn't like, I'm going to keep destroying you. This isn't competition. This is collaboration. I'm going to collaborate for your detriment. I'm collaborating with you for your detriment because you fucking with me. I could easily collaborate with you for your benefit, but we're going to use this energy for your detriment and my benefit because I can manipulate it like that. But that's what collaboration is. I'm not like with competition. Oh, there's overkill. Stop. You know when you've dominated somebody, right? You know when you dominated somebody, you walk away from them because that's what it is. Once we dominate some shit, that's when we're done. Collaboration doesn't end with domination. It doesn't end with submission. It doesn't end. It ends when it's time to stop. You see what I'm saying? I've been in a space where I know that I've been nurtured into the competitive world. And I was always a good competitor. Like niggas, like when dudes, when you the apex, you're the alpha. You the one. You the apex predator. When dudes want to have sex with the women you're having sex with. When dudes are trying to creep the woman you're openly approaching. You see what I'm saying? Like it's levels to this shit. You feel me? I had dudes that tell me, hey yo, why you trying to fuck with shorty? Yo, you must be desperate, whatever the case may be. And then go back and try to double back and fuck the shorty that you just said that I was desperate for. Because I looked at you confidently and said, yeah, I want to fuck her. Like, that's who I want to get down with. I don't care what you feel. Because y'all are in a competitive state, so y'all can only fuck with a certain type of woman. I'm in a collaborative space, so I fuck with who brings me peace. You see what I'm saying? You can't get caught up in that shit. You really cannot get caught up in that shit. But as men, we end up getting caught up in that shit all the fucking time. all the fucking time, because this is the way the society is built. It's built for us to compete. Now, as black men, we're competing against recessive genetics and the standards set by recessive genetics. Recessive genetics isn't just phenotype, it's genotype too. So they're recessive physically, mentally, and spiritually. Again, if physically we can look at it and say, okay, they can't keep up with us in sports anymore because, they have a genetic disadvantage, right? Spiritually, we know that 85% of recessive genetic people have calcified pineal glands. 85% of dominant genetic people have decalcified pineal glands. You already open. We know the pineal gland is the seat to the soul. We know soul, synonymous with spirit. Spirit. You feel where I'm going with that? You feel where I'm going with that? So we're not even on the same playing field for that. But spiritually, we're on that standard. So if recessive genetics can prove to have impact physically and spiritually, what do you think? You don't think there's a recessive deficit mentally? You don't think there's recessive mentality? There is. Because that means the mind cannot function. Like now, if we add the recessive genetics into the shit now, when we look at things like understanding, believe, knowledge, like that shows you like you're going to have a limited scope in what you can understand and what you can comprehend. Wow. Because you're physically recessive, you're spiritually recessive, mentally recessive. What does that look like? Mental health, mental illness. The mental illness that a lot of people are succumbing to right now. This is going to be very controversial because I know a lot of y'all are part of that community, but y'all got to understand that y'all are a part of that community according to the world that you're assimilated into. Largely. You feel what I'm saying? And again, when the recessive genetics decides what's normal, is that really normal for dominant genetics? Sit with that. But somehow dominant genetics now has the same mentality as recessive genetics. But when I tell y'all we mentally retarded compared to our ancestors, motherfuckers be trying to look at me like I'm wrong. Like I'm doing, no, we're not. We're educated. We the most like, You're educated according to the standard of a recessive stock of genetics. Imagine that. You are the dominant genetics and you can ascend yourself no higher than recessive genetics because that's the lexicon you stuck in. That's the program that you stuck in. Your genetics far exceed anything that any of the world that you in, but you stuck here. So now with masculinity, now we tying this back into masculinity being the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. Competing is easy for the dominant genetics in the masculine vein. Why? Because analysis and deconstruction it comes naturally to you. So the competitor is different. Now we look physically at this. Jordan, Kobe. I use Jordan and Kobe. Jordan, you feel me? They're 1 and 2. We already know how I feel is 1. But I look at Jordan and Kobe, and that's a testament physically to where the genetics is. When we look at the mental aspect, that's hard to fathom. Because now you got to see my transcripts, you got to see grades, you got to see all of this shit because I have the quantum, like there's 7 intelligences and we only filter the world through 1. And this is like, when you have dominant genetics, this is why it's so important because now when you have dominant genetics, think about all of the shit that I've been talking about that we have, that, you know what I'm saying? This is what's encompassed within you with dominant genetics. And think about how much of that shit you can actually utilize because recessive genetics won't allow you to because you have to compete with recessive genetics. It's crazy. You have to learn what I learned. You have to speak the language that I speak. There's a lot of shit. And people wonder why I'm so good with the English language because I analyzed and deconstructed it because I knew why this language was given to me in the first place. It's given to me to make sure I can't compete and win. But now I've mastered this language better than the motherfuckers who gave it to me. So much so that I can rap with it. I can make punchlines, entendres, layered metaphors and shit and do it at will. I've mastered this fucking language, which means that if I master this language and this was the number one thing used to corrupt my people, it's the number one thing used to liberate me. Right? But in a competitive world, nobody can learn the right way. Because now when you come with the motherfucker like myself, circling back into the shit that I was talking about, you got to look at a motherfucker who's already told the world knows that you have to work twice as hard to get half as much as a black person in the world where you're going against recessive genetics. 25%. 16 times. I'm going to keep doing that math. They created a system that reduces us by 16 times to make them equal. And we're still winning. This is not about me expressing superiority, but this is acknowledging what is. You feel me? Why would I continue to try to compete with motherfuckers who have already shown me that I'm 16 times greater than them in this competition? And I'm at the deficit. They had to create a 16x handicap in order to make themselves equal to, and we fought for equality. Think about how much more we dilute ourselves and we fuck with ourselves, bro. We fought for equality when motherfuckers had created systems to reduce us 16 times. This is the burning house that Malcolm was talking about. Martin was talking about. Martin didn't register this shit because he had not thought, he just wanted the oppression to stop. He didn't want to be free. See, when you want the oppression to stop, you don't care what part of the cycle you in. When you want the freedom to start, you going back to where the shit initiated and you seeing all of the factors that y'all be thinking, I know so much because of how I view freedom. It's not a stable in Palakafe for nothing. Like, freedom is real for me. And you got to go back to when your freedom stopped, the freedom of your people, all that shit. And when you do, you start to see what really is. Oh, we beefing with recessive motherfuckers who decided let's make the world recessive. You see what I'm saying? Because if anything else operates in its natural space, it erases us. It's crazy. It's crazy because we're nurtured into this. We're nurtured into this. And this is the competition that we got to go in every single day. We have to compete as black men. We literally have to compete every day to be the best we can possibly be, but not exceed the recessive genetics. Imagine that. You're the best on the court, but you can't score more points than you're the best on the court, but you cannot score more points than the worst player on the court. The worst player on the court averages 2 points a game. You got to be the best you possibly be, but you cannot make more than 2 points a game. I like dramatic pauses because it hits. You feel me? It fucking hits. That's really what competition we in right now is, man. Y'all need to unplug from this shit. My brothers, please, please, please unplug from this shit. You feel me? Secure your bag, get your money, do what you do, get your investments or whatever the case may be. But when you actually become free, you start to realize how capped you are against recessive genetics. You can't win because you don't have recessive genetics. You're greater than everything that you're naturally bigger than everything that is put within, that is systemized, because it's based off of recessive genetics. Imagine this. Imagine a standard of music being based off recessive genetics. You can't have rhythm. Why do you think our music is so potent? Why do you think we cook the best? Why, like, certain shit is certain things that we have that they don't have because of the way our genetics are set up. And we show this every single day. And what they do is they use that to capitalize. This is how they fund their money. This is how they make their bread or whatever the case may be. This is what their commodities are, in a way. But damn, that's crazy when you really think about it, yo. You the best player on the team, but you can't score no more than the 2 points that the worst player on the team scores. That's crazy, homie. When you really sit and think about it, that's wild as fuck. And now it makes me think about, like, when I hear my pop say, yo, the white man won't let me add nothing. Nigga, what? I get it. I'm not, because like I said, I came to terms with, nigga, this is systemized. But then when you really think about it, the recessive genetics of the world won't let the dominant genetics have its birthright. It's like, wow. I get it, because the competition changes because you lose the game. Whether we compete, whether we collaborate, recessive genetics has no place in the world. They're necessary. Recessive genetics are necessary so they can manifest themselves if the time is needed. We're coming into a world where the world is about to be hot for a long period of time. We don't need the recessive genetics for a cool world anymore. Dum, dum, dum. And the sad part is everybody's trying to erase black people when they need to embrace black people, because black people are the only one that's going to keep y'all alive. Not your money, not your wealth, not all the shit that you're going to pass down, your genetics. Now, I, on the other hand, happen to be, I'm setting myself to pass down valuable genetics and wealth. That's what they didn't want to happen. They didn't want black people to have wealth and dominant genetics. It's not fair. When you break out of the system and you become that motherfucker, like, you feel me? Like, look at Warren Buffett is a billionaire, right? And he's a billionaire just from trading, just from looking at stocks or whatever the case may be. Jay-Z is a billionaire. Look what the Jay-Z had to do to become a billionaire. Look what Jay-Z, Kanye, Rihanna. Okay, and Rihanna's a little bit different because she just did makeup. That's, you feel me, one thing. But for the most part, because I am speaking on black men, look at Warren Buffett's billionaire status. Bezos, um, Bill Gates. Like, look at these people and their status. Zuckerberg, right? They only had to focus on that one thing. I'm gonna tell you the difference between them and us, right? They're able to create off of the simplest of shit, right? But what they do is they're smart enough to create systems. You see what I'm saying? They're smart enough to create systems, and when they create the systems, it allows them to step away, right? But for them, they need that. You feel me? Our dominant genetics is powerful enough to make us not feel the need to have to pass anything down, because the greatest thing to pass down, the greatest wealth to pass down is solid genetics, because all of the things that I've learned, all the things that I've attained, right? They're dormant. Some of those things are dormant in my exons, right? So now when I have kids, they're going to be passed down. They have to be unlocked. One of these things that I'd like, So Frail, Hitting It Raw, the podcast, all of these things, I love y'all to life. And I know that, y'all are day ones and y'all been fucking with me. I don't do none of this shit for y'all. This is for if I die before my kids get to certain rites of passage areas, they can know what daddy was supposed to teach them before. It helps. It's beneficial to all y'all, but I need some kind of shit for myself too. These are things that are stored in my archive. So when I do have kids, if the event comes where I don't make it, you feel what I'm saying? To be able to teach them the shit at the milestones that I personally set, they have it here. They have it here. You feel what I'm saying? But again, that's because I was able to see something different. Because now when I have kids and shit, the genetic memory is in me for the shit that I have. Now it's easier to unlock. Those are like, I think people, because we don't understand, because they have recessive genetics and we have dominant genetics, we don't learn genetics the way we're supposed to. We don't see the value of genetics the way we're supposed to, right? Our ancestors have always respected genetics. They always honored and value the power of the genetics, right? But they honored it beyond skin color, of what the essence of it actually represents. When you want to store some information, this is how you pass it down and you teach the child how to unlock it. Something that I learned is who I am, and something that I've learned observing a lot of my people. We don't never learn new shit. We remember it, and we don't realize that. We be thinking, oh, you learn fast. Nah, you remember it, homie, because it's already there. You had those moments where you was learning something and it just came to you too quick, and you just, oh, this is easy. Now it hypes you up because it makes you think, oh, I'm so smart, I'm this, that, and the third. That's not what it is. You're remembering. That means this is a part of your past life. This is in your genetic memory. This is a part of your bloodline. It's different. Of course, they're not going to tell you that because they make you want to, they got you believing that genetics are irrelevant. They got you believing that genetics have no significance. That's why love is love. But they're literally controlling the world in a competitive space based off recessive genetics. You don't have to see it, but it's being seen and it's being done. You feel me? Ignorance of a thing is not the absence of a thing. Always know that. Just because you are unaware of something does not mean that it's not all around you. It just means you are unaware of it. You feel what I'm saying? And as men, it's time for us to unplug from the competition of this shit. I'm not saying I'm a good example of this shit, because I'm not telling you to just walk away from your job and be a vagabond and all this other shit. Like, no, hustle and scam people. No, I'm telling you, when you got to walk away from that shit, plan first. break something down that you can solidify and everything. Like me learning the marketing, the branding, and all these things, those things were necessary things to learn because I knew what I was trying to do ultimately. I have no desire to compete with motherfuckers no more. Now let's collaborate. You feel me? It looks ugly if you try to compete with me. Because you got to realize, how did I obtain these skills? I obtained the skill set that I've obtained under the mentality that as a black man I have to work twice as hard to get half as much. And I've added the fact that it's based off of the standard of I put in 16 times more work than anybody else for the things that I do. And I've been like this since I was a kid because I've always felt that I had to. So understand, when we coming into the same space, ain't no competition. When they trying to bring me into the conversation with masculinity, always go, hope egos don't flare. Egos can't flare. Ain't no competition in what we talking about. These niggas talking about protect and provide, suit and ties, and fighting motherfuckers. That's it. I'm talking about the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. These motherfuckers talking about memes. I'm talking about motherfuckers talking about memes that they reposted. I'm talking about books that I've written. We're not competing. We're not competing. We have to collaborate. That's the only option. That's the only option. You feel what I'm saying? When it comes to mastering the market and shit, no, I'm not competing with y'all. You feel me, motherfucker? Like, you need to drop your price for the competition. No, I don't. There ain't no competition to what I teach. Ain't no competition to what I'm doing. I put money on it. You see what I'm saying? But when you stuck in this competitive world, you don't know how to collaborate right. When you stuck in this competitive world, everything has to be an attack. Everything has to be something you have to dominate. You see what I'm saying? Think about marketing and shit. Like when you in a dominant submission perspective, it's like, yo, you have to undermine my competition ain't doing this. Competition ain't doing this. It's not like, yo, here's what I do and here's what I have. I don't give a fuck about my competition because there is no competition to what I'm doing. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna start trying to wrap it up. When you live in your purpose, when you have discovered, like I said, your purpose is found on the other side of your pain. When you heal and your purpose starts to be revealed for you, and you start living that shit, ain't no competition to your purpose. My nigga, King, God, Allah, like whatever y'all calling yourselves these days. Look, how can there be competition when you're living your purpose? You really think that a divine creator gave you what it gave you to go compete with motherfuckers? To go prove to motherfuckers that you good at what you do? No, that's a waste of motherfucking time. You were given what you were given. Your purpose was given because you have to collaborate in the world with that shit, not compete. You don't have to be the best at your purpose. You have to be better with your purpose. You see what I'm saying? Again, got to use myself as an example. Masculinity. I can stand on the mountain as the best motherfucker when it comes to the conversation of masculinity. I can stand on that mountain. Right? But that's from the competitive state. Nothing happens. No growth happens. Or I could collaborate as the better motherfucker when it comes to masculinity because now I can keep getting better. Now I can give you these so frail conversations that are still rooted in the so frail books, but at the same time, they don't have to be as mystical and esoteric as the so frail books. Why? Because I know how to give you my fucking purpose. Ain't no competition when I got to give my purpose. Ain't no men talking about the shit that I'm talking about. Ain't no actual conversations for men, especially black men, where we are able to talk about being better. Every competition is about the pain. Every conversation is about the pain that we have, getting women or whatever, simple shit. Every conversation is about making us the best competitor. Continuing to nurture us into the best competitor and not getting us to the best collaborator. Me, I'm all about making sure y'all know what the fuck y'all do. I'm making sure y'all, know your purpose and shit. Like, cause that's what I gotta collaborate with. I gotta collaborate with you as your highest entity. You see what I'm saying? I don't need to be competing because now we have to, you know what I'm saying? Because now what happens when we compete? Now we have 3 or 4 people doing the same shit, talking about the same thing. And no, there's no growth. Like, think about the conversations we have on the podcast and shit like this. All of these dudes are coming from the same perspective. Why? Because it's a part of the same conditioning, same cultural standard, same competitive standard. And then you have the levels of men. You had the men that got girls. You had the men that didn't get girls. The men that got girls and shit, they have a whole different conversation. They're the ones who are, oh yeah, I'm willing to trick. I'm willing to pay on this slaves. You know why? I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. This is probably gonna bust a lot of bubbles. When we're looking at these conversations, this is somebody who's been in multiple rounds. This is how I'm able to see so much shit. So when we look at these guys, they're talking about, yeah, we ain't simping, we paying for these women, we doing this, that, and the third, we paying for this. They're not. When you're an upper echelonian man, you don't pay for it. You don't pay for her bills. You don't give her shit. You feel what I'm saying? You take her out. Don't get me wrong. But as far as the whole, oh, he got to pay all of this shit. When you're upper echelonian man, she will not require you to do a motherfucking thing. You can fucking fuck up as much as you want to. And she won't give a fuck. If the sisters are listening and they type right now, I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you, and I'm speaking from the experience and the understanding of an upper echelonian. It's easy to say, yeah, you feel me? When women can see your potential, right, and you already exhibiting the shit that you're doing, they're not going to demand a lot of the shit that they're doing on the social shit. And the motherfuckers that exploit that know that. So you have two different conversations. You have the conversation of the guys who can call the guys simps who, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we're not paying for that shit, bro. What the fuck you talking about, bro? But it's like, because I know that I have something that makes women not even require that out of me because I'm that dope. You're not me. You'll never be me. But again, competitive. And then you had the other side of the guys who was, ooh, the women, they didn't like us when they was Mike Jones ass niggas. Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. No, they still don't want you. But now, because you can be exploited because of the pain that you had when they did play you. So now you got to come in this space to stunt. Yeah, I can take care of half. I can do all of this shit. You got to do that shit. And they're going to make you do it. So you're thinking you're the good guy. You're thinking, oh yeah, am I late? No, you're the trick. You're the trick. They don't ask for half. Listen to what I'm saying. Women do not ask upper echelonian men for everything, for the whole, to go whole. And I get it. They're like, yeah, that's because the men are taking care of it. They're not. The women are taking that. Those women are taking care of their own shit. Trust me. Those women are taking care of their own shit, and they okay with taking care of their own shit to be with this man who's not taking care of their shit. Because what they are in the presence of this man, their life is getting better. That's another part to it. So it's like that half shit, that whole, like, I don't get into that conversation. That shit don't happen to me. Women don't come to me and say, oh, you got to go whole or whatever the case may be. And then like they respect what I stand for and where I am. You feel me? And like the point that I was making, that was all of these podcast spaces are doing that. And they're catering to the fact that women don't know how men think. And women don't even know that men are in a competition with each other all the time. Because we're in a competitive world and you have to be dominant. You have to be, recessive. So, I mean, dominant or submissive. All of the men that couldn't be dominant are now a part of the alphabet community in some way, shape, or form. Or they're a part of cancel culture. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. The men that are talking about, not only women aren't the only ones that have periods. Yes, the fuck they are, nigga, whatever. But again, you motherfuckers sucked at being men so much that you want to have menstruations. Wow, you're a loser. The competition was so bad that you became a woman. This is real talk right now. This is the reality of a lot of the shit that we're dealing with. Some motherfuckers that, we got to look at the communities. Most motherfuckers, especially the ethnic motherfuckers that look like me, those of the a high majority of them were sexually assaulted or sexually molested when they were kids. That's different. The other ones who weren't, they were the motherfuckers who lost and sucked at being who they were created to be. And I'm speaking solely for the men at this point. I seen this post. I seen this video. This guy, he went, identified as a woman, and then went and shattered a deadlifting record. And then a man came and said, yo, I'm identified as a woman, and blew the fucking shit because he actually did the shit. The other guy just lost when he was trying to be a man, became a woman, and then now I'm the best, right? This is a mental illness. It's mental shit. So the big guy, he actually trained, came in there and blew the fucking shit out the water. He said, I know you ain't gonna be able to break it again. He said, that's not fair. I worked hard for that shit. Like the women who worked hard and you as a man had to, you see what I'm saying? That's what you got to realize what this is. The competition is so bad that The world is in such a competitive state, and this country and this system is built on such a competitive nature, but it doesn't teach you how to win, right? Or it's built on a competitive nature, and the people don't know how to win. And because the people don't know how to win, they win the best way that they can, which is cheating. Which is cheating. Tying it back to the relationship shit. Motherfucker be like, why do people cheat? Everybody cheats when they're not winning. If I can't beat the men, I'm going to go play against the women. Now, the delusional motherfuckers be like, a woman can play against. I love that she did this shit. Serena literally said, I can't beat a man in tennis. I can't beat a man of my caliber in tennis. Serena said that. Because it's random everyday Twitter finger motherfuckers talking about, yeah, a woman can play any sport that a man can play. She can play any sport that a man can play, but she will never be able to play as a man. I don't care how fucking good she gets. She knows that. And only a woman athlete knows that. Only an athlete can say that. This is why you don't have the trans men trying to play women's sports, trying to play men's sports. They know better. They know they're getting cooked. They're getting cooked. But the men know that they're going to be doing the cooking. And they already lost everything in life. So now I'm going to become a woman. I'm going to become a fucking woman, my nigga. So now I can finally win. So now I'm going to cheat at the win. I'm going to cheat at the win just so I can have it. So again, like I said, because we're in this competitive nature, it's built off of dominant, submissive societies. Two dominant motherfuckers, they're not two dominant motherfuckers, and you can't dominate the other person, you're going to clap. Like, somebody has to bend. Somebody has to bend. Somebody's going to be the one that submit. Because somebody has to be the one that still maintains the dominance. You feel me? In the situation with me and the girlfriend that I had that cheated or whatever the case may be, I was the more dominant one. Because I was the more dominant one, I was also the more gentle one. Because she was the less dominant one, she was also the more aggressive one because she had to assert the dominance and had to have it. Her words were brutal. Because she knew not to put her hands on me, because the words she did one time though. And I promise you, if I was abusive, I would have beat the shit out of that woman. But she knew what she can do. You feel me? So now when she wanted to get, dominant again, you know what I'm saying? Because again, it's the competition. Let me get the dominant man or whatever in the submissive space. Ended up getting with an abusive man. Now he's abusing her. He's doing to you what you tried to do to the man that had nothing but care for you. You feel me? It's not me reliving the old shit, but I'm saying, the point that I'm saying with that is that in the competition, you're going to lose for the competitor that you are if you lose. You feel me? Like when motherfuckers, I be telling motherfuckers, I'm not worried about a woman cheating on me. The fuck? I know a woman has cheated on me and shit, but in this stage, I'm not worried about a woman. Even then, I wasn't worried about a woman cheating on me because it's like when they say it's your loss, I get that. If you can bring yourself to remove, if you feel like you're losing in the safety I provide, you didn't cheat on me. You cheated on yourself. You cheated on yourself. Like, and you lost that. Sometimes we be getting so tight and so mad about the shit that we be, that person cheated on themselves, especially when you consider that they were winning with you, but they thought they were losing. And then now they go fuck with somebody else and they losing for real. Nigga. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's real. But it's a part of the society that we're in. We're in a competitively nurtured society. So all you can be is you have to pick a side and be dominant. Now, when you ain't dominant, what you gonna be? Submissive. When you're not submissive, you become passive aggressive. I mean, when you are submissive, you become passive aggressive. I still got to put that dominance in because of the competition, but I'm going to make it seem like I'm the bigger person. I'm the morally high ground person. I'm going to say things like this. Nah, you're going to say slick shit because you're scared to fight. Because you're scared of the potential confrontation that'll happen. Sometimes it doesn't have to come. See, the threat of violence is always evident. Some people don't like that because they don't know how to be violent. And if you don't like that because you don't know how to be violent, then you're going to do passive aggressive shit. So now when the violence is like, nigga, what the fuck you say? Oh, no, I was just saying I wasn't trying to be funny. Yeah, you can tone that shit down and you can go back to your submissive state because you know that you can't be dominant in the situation. You feel what I'm saying? And not being dominant, you're not able to compete correctly. And if you're not able to compete correctly, then you lose. You see what I'm saying? And that's what this society is all about. That's what this shit is all about, to make sure that there's a distinction between the dominant and the submissive, the winners and the losers, the subservient and the slave and the master. And you have to pick a side. Which side are you going to be on? And don't forget to check out Polycafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Polycafe Clothing. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Yeah, yeah. That's the competition and shit. That's the competitive nurture. We're not competitive by nature. We're not naturally competitive people. We're collaborative. Humans are collaborative because you're designed to bring progress to the world. You feel what I'm saying? You ever notice how much peace you feel when you working with when you in a group of motherfuckers and y'all just vibing? Y'all can go for hours on end. Case in point, when we in book club in the iwi, like book club is supposed to be scheduled from 6:30 to 7:30, right? But when you're collaborating and you in the flow, that shit just runs and we get all of the gems we supposed to get out of it. And we end up finishing the chapter or whatever, but we in it for that reason, to collaborate. Now, when you compete and it's like, okay, bam, get to this point, get to this point, get to this point. Everything got to be systemized. It got to be stick to a schedule. You're not able to organically feel. Collaboration puts organic energy in the shit. Ain't no organic energy being put into anything anymore, because you can't put organic energy when you have to compete, because I got to hold back who I am. When you compete and you got to hold back who you are until the time the game is up. Sometimes you're not playing a game. So many people want to play the role of, I don't be mysterious, let motherfuckers not know who you are until it's time to show up, because that's a competitive nature. You feel me? That's competitive nature. I'm going to conceal what I have. Like when I was young, my big brother used to always say, don't slap box with my homies, or don't shadow box with my homies, because it's like when you're doing that, they learn how you fight. No, they're not. No, they're not, because I fight everybody differently, but I get what he was saying. In the competition, you don't, no. I'm going to shadow box with you, because when I shadow box with you, I'm going to see how you fight. I'm going to add it to on some Goku shit. I'm going to add it to my arsenal, but I'm going to also learn how you fight, how you throw your punches, how you jab, like what stance you make. Like, you know what I'm saying? I pay attention to all of that shit. I remember when I was in 7th grade, I had a dude ask me, he was like, me and the other guy ended up beefing, but we ain't ever fight. But it was just like, and I think this is what started it. Dude asked me, because again, you either got to have hands or you got to have hoes. That's how niggas is building they status. So in the 7th grade, a dude asked me if I could beat one of these two dudes or whatever the case may be. I said, I don't know. I never seen them fight. He's like, they got good hands. That's cool. They can have good hands. I've never seen them fight. So I would have to look at the mechanics of their posture, how they stand. Like people, when I be saying shit, motherfuckers don't realize what's going behind why I'm making my statement. And they just try to run with it. Like, yo, they got hands. Okay, cool. That's cool. You can have hands. But if I understand how you fight, I'm going to fuck you up. Especially if you don't understand how I fight. For me, fighting isn't just throwing punches. It's understanding everything that your opponent is doing. You know what I'm saying? So when I square up, it's like I'm seeing your stance. I'm seeing your posture. Like, how are your hands? Are they set down by your side? You already got your guard up. When you put your guard up, is your left hand sturdy? Is your right hand? I can tell what, like, there's certain things I can tell when you about to throw a punch, because I can tell how your shoulders move. There's a lot of things that go into that shit. So when I tell you I've never seen you fight, or I've never seen him fight before, that's where I'm coming from with that. Not in if I see him fight. No. Because when I see him fight, I know how he moves. When I know how he moves, I will know if I can maneuver against that or not. You see what I'm saying? I'm not basing it off of the competition of whether I'm gonna win or not. Nigga, I'm gonna dominate this nigga or not. No, can I collaborate with this for it to be in my benefit? Because that's all the fight is. That's all the battle is, the collaboration between hands. Now I got to see your hands. You feel what I'm saying? Do you throw overhand club punches? Do you throw crazy hooks? Do you know how to throw a solid jab? Can you throw the jab and recoil back to you? I can. So I'm going to let you know right now. I'm a skinny dude. I'm a slim dude. I don't wrestle when I fight. I'm also not going to try to wrestle a motherfucker. If a motherfucker is trying to wrestle, I'm going to get away from him. I can look and see that once you got me by a certain size, you're going to try to slam me, which means I have to be at a point where I can't let you grab me. Because once motherfuckers get over a certain size, they don't even try to fight no more. They just slam. So now I'm going to make you fight. And now you're going to realize that you can't fight. I do other shit. I'm not just going to aim for your face. I'm going to punch your joints. I'm going to punch the hinges of your joints where they connect. So as you're moving, it fucks up the momentum of the flow. I'm going to punch where your nerves go, so your whole shit shuts down, because I understand anatomy and physiology. Because I'm going to collaborate either for the benefit or the detriment after this fight happens. when I'm in a collaborative mode. You see what I'm saying? I'm no longer competitive anymore. Competitive is I just got to dominate and get the I can lose this fight right now. But when we collaborate, do you remember fighting me? You feel me? Damn, that nigga punched me in my fucking eye. He clapped my ears. One of my eardrums just busted. This motherfucker uppercutted me in my motherfucking elbow. Now my whole shit broke. Now my ulnar nerve don't work no more. You feel me? What the fuck did he do? Now he done kicked my fucking, now I done tore my MCL because this motherfucker kicked my kneecap at the joint. Nigga, you too big for me. Like, the fuck? I ain't gonna wrestle you. You feel me? I'll box you. And then once you start trying to grab, nigga, hey, it gotta be what it is. I got a ping, ping, shoo, ping, ping, shoo. That's what it is. I'm gonna hit you twice and back up. Hit you twice and back up because I'm gonna get a rhythm. And I'm gonna see how do you respond to punches. I'm not even hitting you with hard punches. I'm gonna see how you respond to punches. Does it make you discombobulate? Do you close your eyes? Do you drop your head as soon as you catch a punch? Because that lets me know how I need to fuck you up. If I throw a jab and I hit you in your nose and your eyes shut right after I'm gonna keep hitting you in your fucking nose because now you don't fight with your eyes open. You're eventually gonna cover your head. It's levels to this shit. It's levels to this shit. But that comes from collaboration. When you are nurtured collaboratively, you learn how to work with all things. When you are in a competitive space, you only learn how to dominate things. Kill or be killed. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, how does this art play itself out? How does this situation playing itself out? And now when you add it in as black men, that we have to work twice as hard to have as much, and the standard is 25% of what the dominant genetics really is. Like, it's crazy, yo. It don't make no sense, my guy. It's like, wow. And 25% that I'm using is literally just a basic number based off of a 4-block Punnett square. Punnett squares can extend far beyond that. But for the most part, you're going to have, like a 3-to-1 ratio, dominant versus 3-to-1 ratio, which is 75% dominant, 25% recessive. Right. But in that, you're going to have a 1-to-2-to-1 ratio where you have one dominant, one homozygous dominant, two heterozygous dominant, and then one recessive. Right. But now when the world is literally built off of the recessive genetics and like everything has to be in place to make sure that, like, think about that shit, bro. Think about that shit, bro. Like, you are like, we can't, like, it's like you playing with your younger sibling and y'all 10 years apart. Now everybody that's playing got to be on their knees. This person get to stand up, run and everything and play around, but we got to be on our knees. It's not fair. You feel me? I was just kicking it with my niece and shit, and she want to do jujitsu and karate and shit, like, but she want to do the real jujitsu, so she wrestle and shit. She be trying to put motherfuckers in arm bars. I ain't know that. Motherfuckers didn't tell me that. Motherfuckers wasn't put me on game. So my niece talking about, let's play. I said, all right, so we motherfuckers start wrestling. Like, you feel me? I'm luckily I'm stronger than her. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm on my knees, like, so we could be face to face. She on her feet or whatever. She throwing her punches and shit. I'm blocking them and deflecting them, whatever. But then she hopped on my back and grabbed my arm. And then when she grabbed my arm, she tried to tuck and roll. And I was like, luckily I'm stronger than you. But I said, yo, you literally just tried to put me in a fucking arm bar. You feel what I'm saying? But she had a different vantage point. Had I been standing up, she would have never been able to jump on my back and get no shit like that. Had I been in my position. But again, I handicapped myself for us to compete. And she still didn't beat me. You feel me? Granted, because she's my niece and shit like that, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, she didn't beat me. At the end of the beginning of the day, that's what world we're living in right now. Even with the handicap, they're not winning. And all they do is keep making more and more handicaps. The handicaps that they're making now are now affecting them. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. It is now affecting them. Imagine being so desperate to win in a world where you couldn't, that you create something that ultimately starts to destroy you after a while. You create so many systems to make yourself even reign supreme that you now are starting to kill yourself, because the very things that you need to repress to make yourself, you need them to actually stay alive. It's a different game, man. But as men, especially as black men, yo, we got to stop competing, especially with each other, bro. Especially with each other. You feel me? I try to use that as a teachable moment. From this point forward, I'm going to start trolling again, but I'm going to use it as a teachable moment at this point, because it's funny We're in such a competitive world. Like your first reaction to information that you don't know is that this nigga don't know what they talk about. Because in my world, I'm the smartest motherfucker I know. I don't know who's smarter than me or who's not smarter than me outside of that. You feel me? Like the boy had a block. I told him, I said, yo, you're going to end up blocking me. I promise you're going to end up blocking me. No, I'm not. Whatever. All right. All right, nigga. Because I don't just play with this shit. Now, everybody that's seeing that conversation, everybody click the link in my bio every night. They're seeing all of my shit now. And they're like, we literally just argued with this man and told this man he didn't know what he was talking about. He actually teaches a course on what the fuck he was talking about. I know. It's funny, right? Because we're in a state of competition. And if I don't have a certain status, if I don't have a certain, status doesn't bother me anymore. I know how potent my essence is. So you can try to throw, oh, your status is this, that, and that. I already know that I've accomplished I've accomplished far more than people. I'm going to say this and I'll wrap it up. I reminisce on things that a lot of motherfuckers haven't even fathomed yet. So now add that to the phrase, just because you haven't fathomed it, you know what I'm saying, doesn't diminish the validity. Just because it's something that you haven't fathomed doesn't diminish the validity of what it is, of what I said. And when I reminisce on shit that people haven't even fathomed yet, we in two totally different epochs of time. We in two totally different worlds. And for some people, oh, you need to practice it. Why do I got to practice humility for what the fuck I understand? Humility ain't for me. Humility is for you. Humility is not for the person who's actually articulating and doing what they say they're articulating and doing. It's for the person who doesn't want them to be articulating it. When people tell you to be humble, they don't want you to be as good as you are. That's crazy, right? I see how good you are, but I'm telling you, you're not that good. Didn't I just dunk on you? Yeah, but you can't really dunk for real. I dunked on you. What are you talking about? Like, you can't dunk. I dunked on you. You feel me? Why is it that the dunker has to practice humility and not the person who's standing on the rim saying that he can't dunk while he's getting dunked on? You see what I'm saying? That's where we're in. And that's where we need to break it up. That's what we need to stop. That's what we need to detach from. I promise you, yo, when y'all stop trying to compete and feel like your anxiety is going to stop. If you got anxiety, it's because you're part of this. Anxiety comes from being in a competitive nature. Anxiety comes from constantly being in this competitive world and having to win and knowing that every day you have to. You have that anxiety because you are the winner. And every day you get up and win. But now you know you have to keep winning. That's where the anxiety comes from. How am I going to win today? All right. When you have depression, it's because you're a loser. I don't mean loser in a negative way like elementary school, but you don't win. And you're reminded every day that you don't win, that you're in a competitive world, that you can't win, that you don't win. So you cheat. BBLs, these women could have went to the gym, but they don't. They're losers. They're losers. They decided to cheat. You feel me? I got a homie who keeps sending me scissor shit. I don't like scissor no more. I know. The reason why motherfuckers keep thinking that it's physical. I don't lust over people. I don't lust over women. When I like women for a reason. You feel me? The reason why I liked SZA is the reason why I don't like SZA. You feel me? I liked SZA because she was a natural woman. I liked SZA because she was natural. Like, I loved her voice. I loved everything natural about her. She had natural Afrocoid features. She's changed that. She's got a BBL. She's got contours and shit and everything done. Like, I don't like what I liked. So I got a homie who keeps sending me shit about SZA, and she should sending me when she posts her ass and shit again. It's like, that's not why I liked her. You see what I'm saying? That's not why I liked her. But because we're in this world of competition, a lot of people think this person now elevated themselves in the competition. For what? What I cannot compete with anybody. Therefore, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to compete with anybody. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to compete with me, because now that creates a relationship where I'm getting with a woman who either feels like she has to compete against me or compete with me. Women that compete against, like the sabotaging relationship, that's a woman competing against you because she has to make you less than what she thinks you are, although she wants you more. You feel me? The woman, the woman that you have to compete with, now you guys have to attack the world. But in attacking the world, it's like you're driving. She wants you to drive the vehicle while she controls the steering wheel. No, I need a person who's going to collaborate with me. That means you already got your shit together. You have your essence intact. You know the fuck you are. So when you come into my space, I can be me and you can be you, and we can see how we are supposed to work together. That's what compatibility is. We try to identify compatibility through the lens of competition. You can't be compatible where you have to compete. You feel me? Compatibility is how well you work together. You feel me? Collaboration is how well you work together. So you have to be compatible to be collaborative. You see what I'm saying? Everybody want to be equals. I don't want an equal. I want a collaborator. I want somebody who is whole, who can equally contribute, but I don't need an equal because then you're the same motherfucker as me. I want the same motherfucker as me to compete for what? No, that's the same nigga. No, they can shut. If you're the same motherfucker as me, and when the competition hits, if they can shut me down, they can shut you down because we the same motherfucker. I need to know that if they beat my ass, they can't beat yours. And vice versa. If they can't beat your ass, they can't beat mine. But in that same process, because we're collaborating, when they can't beat my ass, but they can beat yours, I can teach you how not to get your ass beat because I can tell you the thing that keeps me from winning, and vice versa. That's what collaboration is. But when it's competition, it's just you'll keep fighting harder. No, figure out why the fuck you keep getting your ass beat. But that's what we need to do. We need to make sure our minds are wired to even collaborate when we're going into the workforces, into the world, because every day we go into the world, we're walking into a competitive world. We have to ask ourselves, are we going to compete in this motherfucker or are we going to collaborate? You have to do one or the other. But you need to understand that collaborating in competition is far better than competing in competition, because you can't lose when you collaborate in competition because you know exactly what competitions you're supposed to be in. I'm going to say this and I'm going to wrap it up for real. My sister's ex-husband, we used to always play Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was the only game I played with him. Dragon Ball Z was the only game that I played with him. I used to whoop his ass every game. And he would always get upset. I'm like, yo, this is the only game I play. He said, you wouldn't beat me if we played UFC. I know. That's why I don't play you in UFC, dumbass. The competition is so heavy in you that you don't realize that I'm collaborating with you. I'm collaborating with you for your detriment. I'm whooping your ass in this game. But you're competing trying to beat me. You see what I'm saying? You already lost. The collaboration is I'm trying to work with you for your detriment in this game. Which means I have to know how you play this game. I need to know what characters you use. I need to know all this. And I'm going to learn how they play. And I'm going to beat your ass every time. Because I collaborated. While you were trying to compete, I just have to prove that I'm better than you. And you don't. You don't. You might win a few battles, but you always lose the wars because collaboration will always supersede competition. With that being said, I'm going to go in there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our sons, look, they're going into a competitive world. Prepare them for that as collaborators. Make sure that they're solid in themselves, because that's when you start to swing the pendulum and start to change. You start to operate from you start to operate from the sport and not from the essence that brought you to the sport. And by sport, I don't just mean basketball. I mean whatever arena you're stepping in for competition, that's sport. You feel what I'm saying? But now when you become the sport as opposed to the essence that utilizes that sport, things change. For example, if I were to stay in the realm of day trading and investing, like I gotta, say, oh, I'm a day trader and investor. Now I'm gonna go compete with other. No, I'm me. I day trade, and I can collaborate with the other motherfuckers who learn the way, because I can learn from everybody. I don't have to compete about who's better to try to get sales, nigga. No, we now have to collaborate so we can make sure our people know this shit. Who give a fuck what course they go to? Do they know it? I don't care if they go to this person. I don't care if they go to that person. I don't care. Like, I don't have to compete with you and tell you I'm the best. Like, my thing is get it. I don't care who you are. I had somebody hit me up one time because I had shared Wall Street Traps, one of his reels. And it was like, how you gonna share his reel and you teach your own stuff? Because I don't got a problem with this black man. He teaching the same shit that I'm teaching. I hope y'all get it too. I may not be able to connect to y'all the way he do, but y'all need to know the skill. You feel what I'm saying? And what he said is valid. I'm not competing with him. I'm not gonna be no hater and say, nah, no. I'd rather collaborate with that black man. Because you know what, black man, that's something I ain't never heard before. Because again, I don't approach the markets the way he approaches the markets. He don't approach the markets the way that I approach the markets. Right? So we don't have to compete. We just have to collaborate on, you know what I'm saying? And the people. And when you see that, you can collaborate when you're confident in your essence. I don't have to compete. That's why I don't have to call myself the best at anything. That's why I don't have to call it these things. And when we get to that point, that's what it is to actually start being a collaborator. Because now when we pass that on to our sons, and our sons are able to actually collaborate because they have the essence within themselves, things change. You know how much things change? Because respect is given, not earned. It goes to respect is now defaulted, because now as a competitor, I have to earn my respect. But as a collaborator, my respect is already there, and I'm only going where I'm respected. We need to teach our sons that early. Now they ain't out here doing whole shit, trying to gain respect, because they're already respected for the essence that they are, and they're going where their essence is celebrated. I'm not competing for this shit. It's what it is. You feel what I'm saying? We gotta make sure our sons maintain their collaborative nature against the competitive nurture. I'm not saying don't make them competitors. Yeah, teach that motherfucker, if he want to play ball, baseball, whatever, he gonna be the best on the court. But he's gonna be the best on the court because of collaboration, not because of competition. Because his goal is to be better and not be the best. Because if think about this, you want to be the best by the 4th grade, you accomplish the best, then what? Then what? You feel me? But when you always continually strive to be better, you're stepping into collaborative energy. And that's the energy they need to be in, not competitive. Because all it's doing is fucking us up. When the system is designed for us to not lose, we are at a 16 times handicap. And it's still equal. Just imagine if we collaborated, we erase that 16x because we're no longer in a competitive state where they're reducing us. That's how I do what I do. I don't compete with these motherfuckers no more because it ain't no competition. Make sure our boys know the same. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.